Good afternoon. My name is Sally Berkery and I'm the Managing Director of cewuk. Home working has become the norm for most people in the beauty industry over the past 10 months. And so for our first event of 2021, I'm really delighted to welcome Heidi and Anna from Arthur Edward Recruitment, who are going to be addressing the impact of home working on career development and how we can boost our impact on others whilst working remotely. Please do ask questions via the Q&A panel at the bottom, and we will try to answer these at the end of the session. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you, Heidi.
Hi, Sally, and hi, everyone else. And thanks to you and CW for inviting us to the chat today. 2020 was certainly a different year for many of us. Some people were busier than ever. Some people had positive experiences, whilst others were really struggling. We've seen people that have had big birthdays cancelled, weddings cancelled. Some people are coping with redundancies, looking for a job or missing out on promotion. Many of us are working remotely and the experience varies hugely depending on your personal circumstances. You could be juggling work with childcare, homeschooling, and you might have a comfortable office space at home, or you might be working in the kitchen alongside your flatmates and your family. Lots of us are missing being with our colleagues, but there really is no reason why we can't keep those connections going. And it's really important to stay positive, look after yourself. You can't give the best to your career if you're not positive in yourself. So take time for your mental and physical health and be grateful for what you have and positive about your future. We're so lucky to work in such an incredible industry. The beauty industry is creative, it's innovative, it's passionate, and we're fortunate to work with such inspiring, supportive people. People who are always happy to help, and the CW has worked hard to inform and inspire us with all these great webinars for the whole of the year and more to come in 21, I'm sure. So now more than ever, it's about effective teamwork, everyone pulling together and staying positive.
Hello everyone. So today we're here to talk to you about strategies to be first in line for success when working remotely. And we're going to cover three main topics: being visible and invaluable, going for promotion, and focusing on self-development. Just before we go into our topics, we'd like to do a quick poll and ask you how you feel about working from home. Do you love it? Do you think it's okay some of the time? Or do you hate it? You should have the options on your screen now, and even if you're not working from home, you can still vote and let us know how you think you'd feel about it. We've actually asked people about this back in June when we did our Working Through COVID-19 survey. We had over 600 respondents in the industry, and at that time, 94% of people who were working from home said they'd like to continue doing so at least some of the time. So it'll be very interesting to see if that has changed 6 months later. It was all quite new to many of us who used to be office-based and all of a sudden started working remotely. And for those who are homeschooling in the summer, it was a lot easier than winter. But with the dark, cold weather and short days, we're curious to see if the feeling has changed.
I think as recruiters, we've seen for years that offering at least some flexibility with home working really helps companies attract the biggest pool of talent. And while remote working is the norm for many of us now, only a year ago, we were having lots of conversations with employers about offering their staff even just a little bit of flexibility. Many business leaders were convinced that people had to meet face-to-face to be creative. For brainstorming MPD meetings and things like that, annual marketing plans, for instance, they felt it was essential that they were face-to-face. But many industries like IT have been working remotely for years. And I think the last year has shown that home working can work for the cosmetics industry too, when we all pull together. After all, our industry is all about collaboration and working together. If R&D don't develop a new formula, if the pack techs don't create the packaging, the regulatory chemists don't substantiate those claims, and the factories don't plan production and fill the bottles, then there's absolutely nothing for sales and marketing to talk about.
So we're going to see if we have our poll results now, going to close the poll and looking at the results. So very interestingly, we have 35% of people saying I love it, and 65% say it's okay some of the time, and no one's saying they hate it. So that this is quite interesting. And I think perhaps the novelty effect might have worn off a little bit. People are not as in love with remote working as they were maybe when we first started, but the majority of people still seem to be enjoying it some of the time, and will probably want to keep that flexibility in the future.
So let's start with the first topic. So thinking about being visible and invaluable. Remember, it's not just what you feel and how you think. You've got to see it from your boss's point of view. Do they know what you're doing day to day? For you to be successful, you must be visible, not just your boss and the immediate team, but other areas of the business, key clients, partners, and contacts that you have in the industry. You must be approachable and helpful to everyone. It's about being the go-to person in your team.
Absolutely. And don't coast. If you're less busy than before, you can offer to help other people. If you're working within a smaller company, it's easier to be visible and talk to everyone in the team. But if you're part of a large company or team, you need to work to be more than a name on a massive spreadsheet in HR. So ask yourself, how well do you know your extended team? It is important to be seen as someone who can work collaboratively and pull teams and projects together, and make sure you speak to colleagues separately as well as in groups.
I think that's so important, is the wider community, and also people like to work with interesting people. Talk about more than just work occasionally, be seen as a well-rounded and interesting person. One thing that we've been doing at Arthur Edward, in addition to our normal Monday morning meeting where we plan the workload for the week, we've been having a regular coffee break chat where we don't talk about work. And within our team, it's been quite fun to find out one of our colleagues has got an incredibly extensive dressing up box, which we knew nothing about before. Another's really creative and has shown us some art projects and some crochet that she's been doing, which is super clever. Another's got a gorgeous dog, and another's got a cat. They always seem to want to join in on our meetings. And we've even been on remote walks and bike rides together. So we certainly don't feel that we're not a cohesive team, but we're all very close, and we know things about each other that we didn't know before when we all worked in a Covent Garden office together. So maybe you could be the person that pulls people together. If they haven't already organised things, then be the person to instigate things like informal online chats.
And another thing you can do is join company-wide projects, and it can be from diversity drive to environmental concerns, reducing plastics, cost savings, or even technology and automation. Anything really, just find something where you can add value and get involved. And establish relationships with potential mentors, people in positions you aspire to, and upper management.
I think something people forget about is you can be so busy in the day-to-day detail of your job that you forget about the bigger picture. Do you know what the company goals and values are? And do you understand how your role helps your boss, the team, and the company overall achieve these goals, either directly or by helping with other functions? Staying focused on these company goals, but also your personal goals, will really help boost your chance for promotion. You want to be the manager's go-to person and manage up, not just wait for them to manage down, but ensure that you're on the same page. Set up and schedule a little catch-up meeting, go through your priorities and make sure that you report back on them. Can anyone else help support you on the projects or get involved? And can you show how what you're doing will help them get where they want to go?
Yes, and if you want to stand out and show your boss that you're ready for the next step in your career, make sure you prepare well for meetings with them and are able to respond to any questions. Also, dress appropriately for video calls and meetings. I know things can feel a lot more casual and relaxed now that you and your colleagues are working from home, but remember, it's still work, and it's really important to find the right balance. you can take the lead from the senior people in the team. And if you are unsure, it is always safer to dress up than dress down. And I know we're all more familiar with people's lives outside work now. We've seen each other's houses, sometimes kids and pets in the background, and we've all watched funny videos of calls being ambushed. But as far as you can, try to reduce interruptions, turn your phone off, and try to avoid distractions.
One of my pets hates is washing, and I've seen it a few times now, and I can't be doing with seeing a washing rack behind someone's head, because all I can do is focus on whether there's any pants on the line, and it's not a good thing. So in summary, be visible, be invaluable. It's all about being the go-to person, the first person that they think of when they want to get a job done. Be flexible, helpful, resourceful, get involved, get noticed, and communicate effectively.
Our second topic is going for promotion. And I'd say the key advice here is be realistic. You know, is promotion even available if the team has been reduced? Redundancies cost the company money, so can they afford the salary increase? And the other thing with redundancies, we see many applications for every role. There's a lot of competition in the market. And in a downturn, salaries are flat or even declining. So if you can afford it, you might want to consider a salary sacrifice for the right role or promotion, and just see it as an investment in your long-term career.
I think that's the thing. You've got to think about what is it that you really want from a promotion. We all want more money, and it's part of life, and it's great to earn a little bit more. But really, what we should be valuing is the opportunity for growth and career development over financial reward. And I think maybe we've all learned that in a recession. And over this time where we've been locked down, we know what's important, and just having a new this or a new that is not as important as seeing your friends. So focus the conversation on building your career, learning more and acquiring new skills. Then if there is an opportunity, or as and when there is, you'll be the first in line for promotion. Do you even know who makes the decision for a promotion? Is it your boss? Is it a different department or a team of managers? And you've got to be visible, as we said before, across the whole business. So make sure you get noticed for the right things. And don't back yourself into a corner. The company might not be in a position to offer any promotions at this time. Your boss might be having a far tougher time than you realise. So ask tentative questions. Know if there are opportunities or when there might be opportunities, but don't push so hard that you back yourself into that corner. I'm a big one for time and place. And if it's not the right time, then just keep your head down, keep smiling, and be patient.
I think this is really important. Don't get frustrated if an immediate promotion isn't available. Again, it's about long-term career planning. If a promotion isn't available right now, keep working to improve your long-term skills and build your network. When did you last look at LinkedIn? Update your profile, be active, grow your network, and ask for recommendations.
If you're in work and you're happy and you're not looking, don't ever feel you can't talk to recruiters. A good company will be keen to support you and keep in touch with your career progress. If you have been made redundant or you are desperately looking for work, then a good recruiter, someone in the industry, will have insider knowledge. They'll give you impartial advice and guidance, and they'll tell you how things are going and what opportunities are likely to come up. So in summary, if you're going for promotion, set realistic goals, be adaptable and flexible, and invest in your long-term career.
And our last topic for today, focusing on self-development. If you have switched from being office-based to working from home, perhaps you have some extra time at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day when you used to commute. I know people's circumstances are different. You might have other commitments now that you are working from home, but if you do have that extra time, why not use it to look at self-development opportunities? There are so many resources available. If you're eager to learn, there is so much you can find online, and really look for learning opportunities everywhere. And you also need to think about self-care. Too much screen time can burn you out, and with all the new challenges that come with working from home, it is important to take time out to focus on your mental and physical well-being. Look after yourself, long walks, or take a candlelit bath, buy a luxurious body cream or a face serum, or cook a special meal. For me, I'm Portuguese, and with all the travel restrictions, I am really missing home. So getting all the ingredients, a nice bottle of wine, and enjoying a traditional meal can really lift my spirits. Treat yourself to stay positive. A positive attitude will boost your chances of success at work too.
I'm coming for dinner, Philly, I really want to. So yeah, think about how you can use your work experience to cultivate new learning opportunities. It's good to be flexible. So things like most roles will have some sort of project management responsibility. So why not learn a different project management system or polish up your Excel skills? Everyone will appreciate that at work. Look at online courses, things like digital marketing. There's so much to learn and there's lots of new things all the time. Or I always think it's really good if you're in a marketing or a sales role, the more you know about the chemistry and the formulation of products, the better. And there's so many courses online now through someone like Formula Botanica or the Society of Cosmetic Scientists. There's lots of really great courses. Some are free, some are expensive, but look at what's out there and share these learnings with your team, especially new and more efficient ways to help the business. All business managers love efficiency. If you're looking for a step up, look at the people in the positions that you want to get to and take your lead from them. What do they do inside and outside of work? What do they read? How do they spend their time? How do they manage their day? Think of yourself in that role and maybe act a little bit more like them. There's a great line from an old 80s film. It's one of my favourite films. It's really funny. 80s fashion is great to watch still. I don't know if you know it, but it's Working Girl, and one of the characters, the Melanie Griffith character, she's doing just that. She's looking at what her boss is doing and she's trying to follow what she does. Her friend knocks her down with a great line. Sometimes I sing and dance around the house in my underwear, but it doesn't make me Madonna. But she works at it and she ends up with the promotion. So it's worth thinking about. And you also must think about your company because the culture is so different now. We've spoken with some very big corporate companies that have enjoyed getting a bit more personal with the very senior owners and bosses and family members of the companies. But you have to take the lead. Is it informal and relaxed, or is it more corporate and traditional? And it's important, if you want to progress, that you have to adapt to the company culture.
And have you thought, in general, how do people perceive you? Do people think you're flexible and helpful? Because if you show you're happy to help, people will come to you in the future. Remember, it's not what you want, but what you can offer. Mentoring is incredibly helpful in lots of ways. Many companies have a mentoring system, so use it if it's there. Or you can look to external places like CW to find a mentor. If you're looking to progress in your company, seek advice from people who previously held the position you aspired to. And don't be shy of asking someone to mentor you. Most people will be flattered and happy to help.
I think if you have been furloughed and you've got some time, then you need to be showing what you've used that time for. Not just talking about binge watching Netflix, although there's some great things on, that's a whole other conversation. But what have you learned and how have you learned it? Have you acquired new skills? What volunteering did you do and what did that teach you? I'm seeing so many great things on CVs, from fundraising for people like Look Good, Feel Better, the industry's charity, to helping out in local communities and starting new groups in local communities, to learning a language or even making bath bombs. And like any gap on a CV, when we're looking at it as a recruiter or a hiring manager is looking at that CV, you need to show what you've done and how you've used that time. So if you were homeschooling, fine, you couldn't have done much else, but what did you learn from that? What did that experience teach you? I think the pandemic has shown us the importance of looking after ourselves, mental and physical. But whatever your career goals are, if you don't feel ready to push yourself forward right now, then don't. Be kind to yourself and just be patient and wait for the right time.
Another key thing is networking. So you should really be asking yourself, how strong is your network? Because the broader and stronger it is, the better your chance of finding new opportunities in the future. When we're in the office, we tend to sit in teams, but it is important to get to know other people. So if your meetings are cross-functional, push those connections. We are so lucky to work in a very supportive industry, so we should make the most of it and the opportunities it offers us. You know, when you met people at CEW events, did you keep in touch with them? Industry friends are very important. We have contacts who've become friends as we've worked with them throughout their careers. So keep this up online and look forward to getting together as soon as we can.
The other thing that this time has taught us is how easy it is for connections globally. You know, the industry truly is global. If we're in sales or marketing, we want to be reaching all corners of the world. And this opportunity has really come to the forefront with what we're doing now. There's online learning, there's global industry societies, companies, groups, and newsletters that you can subscribe to. You can take courses, listen to webinars and podcasts. I usually listen to a podcast in the mornings when I'm walking the dog, and so many things that I've learned that I wouldn't have had time to listen to, and I wasn't so comfortable listening to when I was traveling, because I like to know what's going on around me. If you don't know where to start, we've got a load of links and resources on our website, and we've actually pulled together a whole host of free support, which we've called the Arthur Edwards Career Hub, and it's a self-guided program that provides support for people at all career stages. You can dip in and out of it. There's various sections such as personal goal setting, confidence building, resilience. There's loads of articles, videos and exercises, and it will really help you to assess and understand your motivation, your goals and your ambitions. I think many of us take the career opportunities as they arise. We don't really plan for them. It's more by chance rather than planning the path. But if you can imagine in those days when we were allowed out and about, if you jumped in a taxi or an Uber, the driver would say to you, "Where are you going?" And in your career, it's exactly the same. If you don't know where you're going, you can't plan that path. So it is really important to set those goals.
Definitely. So in summary, focusing on self-development, you want to expand your experience, look for learning opportunities, and nurture your network.
I think the key points for us today is that it really isn't that different from being in the office. Up your communication skills, make sure you're in touch with everyone, and be first in line for success. So the three key things to take away from today, if you want to get that promotion and look for long-term career success, be the go-to person in your team, welcome all opportunities to progress, build your skills, experience, and network. And all of these things will help you in your current and future career. Keep learning and keep positive.
And I think we're going to open up the session now to some questions. So just looking at the Q&A section, and we have a few questions here. So okay, so someone's asking, I was due a promotion, but it hasn't happened. Should I keep pushing? Well, it's a great question and very interesting. And I think, as we've mentioned earlier, the key thing is to be realistic. Some companies who are doing incredibly well before the pandemic have been hugely affected and they're really struggling, whilst others have done extremely well and continued to grow. So it's important here to understand how your company is doing. Have you thought about that? can they afford a promotion? And if you were looking at promotion before, whatever role you were looking at, does it still make sense? You know, if there were redundancies, if there was perhaps some restructuring in the team, does that role you were looking at before that promotion still fit in with the structure? It's important to think about that. And the other thing I would say is have an open conversation with your manager. If a promotion isn't possible right now, can you maybe set some KPIs and objectives that you can work towards, and agree on a timescale to review this and revisit the promotion? Because you don't want to be constantly pushing. I think Heidi was saying earlier about timing, time and place for everything. You don't want to be constantly pushing for the promotion, but you don't want it just to be forgotten and never talk about it. So to find that balance, really, if you can have some sort of plan and timeframes in place, I think that can really help.
Okay, that's great. Another question is, my boss looks smart every day at first, but is much more relaxed now. I think, is that one of our team talking about me? Is it safe for me to do the same? Well, I think, again, you have to take the lead from everyone else, but you've got to do what's right for you. I think the thing that I found at first is that where I was used to getting up so early, I just didn't know quite what to do with the extra time that I had. So I was taking the dog for really long walks, but then my whole sync was out, the timing was wrong. So it was a real rush for me to actually put something smart on and put some makeup on. We'd be in a group chat with everyone online, but we were then going into a smart client meeting and we're like, oh God, we haven't got any makeup on. We had to rush off and put some makeup on. And I think standards have dropped a little. Philly and I have made a big effort today, but certainly we are more relaxed most of the time. But I do think it's still important. You know, I'm not someone that wears makeup every day, but I wear makeup when I need to. And ultimately, when I put my makeup on, I do feel better. And when I'm looking at myself in the screen, I certainly look better with a bit of makeup on. So I think if you make a bit of an effort, I don't want to see anyone in their pajamas. I don't want to see anyone in sweaty sports gear. But if you're planning on going to the gym or out for a jog at lunchtime, I don't mind seeing you in some sports gear. But I think let's just have a little think about what's important. And as I said, things like washing in the background, really, I don't want to be looking at your pants. I really don't. So I think keep the standards up, but be a little bit more relaxed. It's been a long time since we saw someone in a suit. And in fact, we had one interview, which was quite a senior finance role. And when the guy came onto the screen for his Teams meeting, he was really suited and booted with a tie and everything. And this is a small casual company. And I kind of winced and thought, oh, you've got this wrong, because everyone else will be relaxed. But the feedback we got from that interview was that they really appreciated that he'd made the effort, and it made them think that he was very professional. And he's the guy that got the job, the one that made the effort. So don't let your standards down too much, guys.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, we have someone asking, I used to have quick update meetings with my boss in the office, but it's a struggle to get time with them now. What should I do? Well, I think this is a challenge many people are facing when working from home, because when we were all in the office in the same space, it was much easier to get hold of someone, just have a quick catch up, and even spot a good time to speak to them spontaneously. But now that we're all at home and we know people might be juggling other commitments with work, it can be quite difficult. I think the thing to do is speak to your boss. I think Heidi mentioned something about this earlier, about trying to set up a regular schedule. You know, perhaps a video call at the beginning of the week to define your priorities, and then reporting back at the end of the week. To see if you can find a time that works for you both, that fits in with your schedules, other commitments, and make sure you stick to it. This is really important.
So we've got another one here. My organisation is not big on development. There's a rather high turnover. I'm keen to progress and develop. However, my manager keeps declining, avoiding my efforts. I love my role, but it's off-putting that my manager doesn't want me to progress. I'm concerned I will never get a promotion or progress, as there will be no evidence of how do I find a way around this. Cool, it's tricky. I think, again, it's not a normal time. It's not a normal year, and companies could well be struggling. So be careful about pushing too much. But if your organization is not great at development, maybe you take something like our career hub and show it to your managers. We've had a lot of regular people that we work with give it out to all of their teams, because it is a self-guided program. It's not something that the manager does with you. It's something for you to do. And if you take the initiative and you do this and you work through it and you give some feedback to your manager, then they know that you're looking to progress. I think the other thing, sometimes people that are quite new into the career, they assume that they can do everything that their manager can do. But you really must keep your head down and learn and grow and develop, and try and look at all areas that they're involved with and how you can then progress into those roles. Some companies, sadly, like to keep people where they are because you're doing a job, and if you're doing it too well, sometimes they don't want you to progress. In that situation, you're probably going to end up moving, but you don't want to be moving all the time. For us as recruiters, we love to see someone in a company for about 4 years before they're looking at moving. If you've only been there less than a year, you haven't added enough value, you haven't learned enough, and you haven't given enough. So don't feel that you're ready too soon. Learn, grow, and develop. But if your company are not developing you, then damn well develop yourself. Do it outside, do the training, do the learning, and take anything that you learn back to your managers. So hopefully it will happen.
Okay, and I think we still have time for one last question. So we have someone asking, I asked for a promotion last March and was given a pay increase in September, but found out everyone else got one as well. My manager said this was a promotion, however, my job title didn't change. Is it too soon to ask for another promotion, or should I look for another job? This is a tricky one, but I would say, if you got a pay rise, there's definitely a good sign, and if they could afford to give a pay increase to everyone else in the team, it means the company must be doing well. So that's a great sign. And if the company is doing well, there will probably be opportunities for you to develop within the company still. I think we always advise people, when people start looking elsewhere, I think the first thing to do is, it can be tempting, I'm not very happy, they're not giving me what I want, I'm going to look for another job. But I think the first step is to look inside your own company and to exhaust the possibilities there. The company, you've been working there for some time, they have given you a pay increase, so that's all good, that's all positives. You're saying your job title didn't change, but did your responsibilities actually change? Did they give you more responsibilities? Have you been promoted in a way because you're doing other things, and have you expanded your responsibilities into other areas? Because if you have, you've got a pay rise and you're doing other things, then you kind of have been promoted. But you need to think, if the title is really important to you, maybe talk to them and see if they're open to changing it again. But really, if you got a pay rise and if you have more responsibilities now that you had before, it kind of is a promotion. But really, I think is having the conversations, looking at the opportunities internally. It might be too soon to be pushing for another promotion, but you might want to have the conversation. If you think you've added more responsibilities to your role at the time and you feel you're ready to take on a little bit more, offer to help or identify areas where you think you could add value and ask to get involved, and see what they say. It's all about that dialogue. You don't want to just focus on the promotion and pushing. So it's really having that open conversation, I would say. See what is available internally, because as I said in the beginning, if they've given you a pay increase and if they've given a pay increase to a few other people in the company, that's definitely a good sign that they're doing well. But ultimately, if you feel that what you want is not available there, then at some point, yes, you might have to start looking externally.
Cool. All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. It's been great chatting with everyone. And again, thanks CEW for inviting us along.
Thank you. I'm hoping I'm unmuted and I haven't forgotten how you do these things. It's been a while. Thank you both so much. It was a really fascinating session with so many helpful insights and suggestions. And Heidi, I agree with the washing in the background. I did have a meeting before Christmas where I saw a selection of people's smalls in the background. It was a little bit off-putting. Anyway, if you have any further questions, please do get in touch. We'll pass them on to the team at Arthur Edwards. And obviously their resource, the Career Hub, sounds fantastic. So I'd encourage you all to take a look at that. I know I'm going to have a little look because I love things like that. We have a lot more events coming up for CEW, and we have a lot of actually skill-based sessions coming during Q1. Next week, we have a great session around productivity. I know all of us could do with that during January and February. And also, we mentioned mentoring. I mean, CEW is a great hotbed for people seeking and finding mentors. We are actually in the process of setting up a formal mentoring process, which is very exciting. So we'll be announcing how that works in the next couple of months. So we have so many talented experts. So I have lots of people stepping forward offering their services, which is great. We are also going to be doing Meet the Board this year. We didn't manage to do it last year, unfortunately, but we found a really great way to do it virtually. So we'll be doing one of those, I hope, in April, which will have breakout rooms, and we'll repeat, hopefully, face-to-face in the autumn, because I know that's an important part of the event calendar for people. And a tiny bit more housekeeping. Entries for the 2021 Beauty Awards are open. There is an early bird entry rate until the end of January, and we have some new categories, which is exciting. The demo, of course, which everybody loves, will take place in early summer rather than next month. Obviously, we wish we could go to Olympia in February, but we can't. And this will allow us enough time for COVID-related planning. And of course, we certainly hope that the awards lunch will take place in September and will be face-to-face in a hotel in London. And I know everybody's looking forward to that. But for now, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the questions. And do keep in touch. We hope to see you soon. Thank you.